Hello there, YouTube. This is PolarBear084 back with another episode of A Bear's Guide to Hunting. I just took a potion. Today, we are going after the Kirin, which is a thunder-imbued unicorn of speed and power that, while labeled as an Elder Dragon, does not really follow any of the same rules that we talked about in the last episode with Kushala Daora. Kirin is, I believe Kirin is only an Elder Dragon because the Hunter Guild don't know what it is. So therefore they've labeled a lot of different things as Elder Dragons, even though they aren't necessarily the same as, say, Lenostra, Teostra, Daora, those kinds of creatures. So, what are we bringing to deal with an extremely fast and powerful lightning unicorn? Well, we are bringing... Let's get in here first, and I'll take a hot drink, and then we can go over that. So I'm bringing my usual potions, mega potions, stakes, paintballs. You know this by now. I'm also bringing Demondrugs and Armourskins. I was meant to bring 2 Demondrugs, but apparently I only had the 1. 2 Armourskins, Powerjuice, hot drinks, Lifecrystals, in case I run out of other healing items. Kirin can punch pretty hard when enraged. Small barrel bombs and large barrel bombs. Kirin is pretty good to hit with bombs. There are certain instances that you can pretty much get a guaranteed hit off with a bomb, and I'm going to see if I can show you that today. And then obviously everything from the chest. And also the guild seems to agree with me because they give you 2 large barrel bombs for the fight. And then as far as equipment, Yian Garuga, I'm getting a lot of use out of this Yian Garuga set. I probably will for a little bit longer. It's really the expert is the main reason I have it, and the sharpness is not bad either. And then as far as weapons go, we have the Tiger Agito, which is Tiger X's greatsword. And I chose this primarily because it has blue sharpness and it's very strong. Now, Kirin is weak to thunder. Sorry, not thunder. Kirin is weak to water and fire. But I decided I wanted to go with brute strength on this. Kirin is not the healthiest of enemies. It is kind of more similar to an Anteka than, say, a Gravios. It doesn't have a very large health pool. So it's a good idea for you to kind of try and do as much damage as you can, as quickly as you can. Let's see here. Probably in area 7, I would imagine. Yep, there we go. It's usually in these 3 snow areas. And here is the Kirin. Very fast, as you can tell. Got a lot of very quick wind-up attacks. And many, many, many variations of lightning attack. There are 5 that I have counted. There might be 1 that I'm missing, but there's slight variations on each. But primarily this is what you're going to see. Let's see if we can take a Demondrug and an Armourskin. So, Kirin, the main way that Kirin will attack is either with lightning strikes, which will be announced by a glowing horn and a whinny, typically, or charging in a straight line. But that's pretty much it. It's mainly the lightning attacks you're going to want to look out for. Sometimes Kirin will do this as well, where it will just stand there for a couple of seconds. Good time to get a charged hit off if you're not too greedy, but apparently I am. So let's see if we can't get through these. So that there's 5 different variations of the lightning attack, like I said, and the one you want to look out for the most is the quick one that it will do, which is it basically flicks its head up and then hits you with lightning almost instantaneously. It's pretty devastating. It doesn't do a lot of damage, but you can kind of get stuck into a loop where it will hit you with that, and then charge into you, and then hit you with it again. It doesn't happen often, but it's something to be aware of. So, let's see. So this one is what we just saw a second ago, striking above itself. So it will kind of plant its hooves on the ground, its horn will glow, and it will bay its head up and then down. That is a bunch of lightning strikes right on top of it. And because of how small Kirin is, that will most likely hit around it as well. Because the lightning strikes have a good range on them. So this will be lightning right on top of it, like I just said. We got our straight line charge here. Let's see if we can't coax a different lightning attack out of Kirin while we're trying to get some chip damage in. So this is the one that happens right in front of it. Very similar to the one that right on top of it. And this is where kind of the difficulty in Kirin comes in, is trying to figure out which attack is which. And you'll notice Kirin is now glowing and sparking. It's now enraged. And you may also notice that there was no roar announcing that. There was no transition phase. Kirin just became enraged mid-thing. Mid-movement. Okay, that was the wrong way to roll. Freaking Blangonga, I tell you. I might die here. Alright, there we go. We somehow survived. You can see how much faster Kirin is here, right? You can see just how quick and instantaneous a lot of its attacks become. Even the ones with a wind-up start become almost instantaneous, which is a real problem. So we've got the lightning strike in front of it. You might have noticed when I was getting my ass handed to me that a lightning strike occurred right on top of me. This one right here. See that glowing part on the floor? That happens more when it's enraged, but it can also happen when it's not enraged too. I initially thought it was only enraged, but I was proven very wrong on one of my tests for this fight. And that is probably the most damaging attack that Kirin can do. This one right here. It will sometimes happen to you or your cat. It'll paw the ground, it'll whinny, flick its head, and then the lightning will appear on top of you. So watch out for that one most. I think that one and this one just there where it goes on top of it in a circle are the two to be concerned with. The rest you can kind of avoid by just attacking from the side for the most part. Because they're either on top in a small circle around or a line or circle in front. Like this one, for example. This is the circle around. It'll kind of kick its head, kick its legs. I'm not sure what the exact equine term is for that. He'll stand on his hind legs and kick, and that will be the circle around it. This is on top. You kind of start to get an idea of these as you start to recognize them as the fight goes on. And that's definitely a good thing to see when you knock Kirin over like that. But yeah, the one where it stands on its hind legs and kicks the lightning in a circle, and the lightning right on top of you are the two you need to be most aware of. The one where it flicks its horn, the one where it kind of flicks its head up and pretty much instantly strikes you with lightning, there's not really much you can do about that one. So, like that one right there, that they just did to my cat. If you're quick, you might be able to block it, potentially. But I've never tried, so I wouldn't recommend it, honestly. I would say your best strategy against Kirin is to kind of stay unsheathed, or stay sheathed as often as you can. Get in, get some hits in, and then get to a minimum safe distance. You really don't want to try and get into a long string of combos against Kirin, no matter whether it flinches or not, whether it gets knocked over or not. You want to make sure that you're kind of keeping your safety first, just because of how damaging both the charge and the lightning can be. If Kirin decides to charge you and strike you, it could be a one-hit kill combo. So be careful with that. But for the most part, this is the fight. You just kind of back and forth with Kirin, trying to see your opportunities, make use of them, and then get back away from where the lightning would strike. So I would also say that one thing to note with the lightning strikes is that their strike locations are random within a given range. So the ones where Kirin stands on its hind legs and kicks, and the lightning is struck in a circle around it, you can't really try to guess where the best place to stand would be. It covers pretty much a full circle around Kirin, so you can't really stand there and cheese the system. And from what I can tell, the strikes are random. So you can't really, learn a pattern. to where those strikes happen, because it's mostly random. That's another one to be aware of as well, where Kirin will strike in a straight line. It's a very slight variation on the circle directly in front of Kirin. So really, if you see Kirin's horn glow and her head bow down and then flick up, just make sure you're not in front of Kirin, and you'll be fine. You want to stay pretty much on Kirin's tail if you can. It's also the hardest part of Kirin, so you will bounce off quite a bit unless you have a longsword and you've been able to get the spirit gauge full, which I would recommend for this fight. I grabbed a greatsword because I thought that I would be blocking a lot more than I am, and I really am not. I would definitely recommend a longsword for sure. Failing that, I would say get some dual blades or a sword and shield so you can react to those lightning strikes a bit quicker, you can block a bit faster, and your movement speed isn't as hindered when you are attacking. I would probably say those three would be your best bets. Hammer you could get away with. I don't know how easy Kirin is to stun. I feel like it probably is pretty easy, just given its kind of, you know, small size, agility. It would make sense if it was relatively easy to stun. But I would say, in my opinion, longsword would be best, just so that you can get past that sharpness barrier. The other thing with Kirin as well, because of just how blindingly fast it is when it's enraged, you really want to be careful of when you heal. It might look like Kirin isn't doing anything, but it can cover ground very quickly. Let's see if we can't get an explosion off here. Come on, Kirin, here I am. This could work. Nope, that was long distance. Come on, Kirin. This might just destroy it. It did. Okay. So when Kirin stands still and kind of gazes off wistfully into the distance, that's the best time to plant the bomb. I would say plant it at Kirin's side. I think that's the best place, like just to the side of the head. And there you go. Although she did blow me up as well. But don't worry, Coco is on the case. Yeah, like the barrel bombs are kind of high risk, but they do a lot of damage to Kirin and kind of cut down on the fight quite considerably. So I would recommend trying it anyway, because they do give you two. Even if you don't want to bring any of your own, you might as well use what you get for free. You can also, one way to tell the difference between the lightning strikes is the pitch of the whinny, or the sound of the whinny that Kirin makes. It does, like, that higher pitched one is any of the ones that are in a circle or close to Kirin. This one is, the circle around Kirin. So you can kind of pay attention to that. It's not 100% consistent, but it is relatively consistent enough that you could use that as a guide, if that's easier than trying to pay attention to all of Kirin's movements while you yourself are moving and trying to find places to attack. Listening to the sound is probably a little easier, if you're having trouble with all of that. I should not have gone back for the third hit. I should have known better. The other thing with Kirin as well is that it can stun you quite easily. This might hit me. Nope, it hit my cat. Everything's fine. I need to sharpen. I'm starting to bounce off Kirin all over the place now. I was about to say I was very lucky that didn't hit me, and I'm glad I didn't, because it did. Alright, this is the other problem with fighting Kirin in such a large area, is that if it gets into this like charge cycle that it can get into, you just spend most of your time running after him, instead of actually doing any reasonable damage. I would expect for this quest, regardless of equipment, if you pick Tiger Rex or if you pick an elemental weakness, this quest will probably only take you about 15 minutes, give or take, depending on how often you find yourself kind of just standing around. But I would say about 10, 15, 20 minutes at the most. Like I said, Kirin does not have a very large health pool, so it won't be too difficult. The only issue is making sure that you don't, or that you're paying attention to those lightning strikes so that you don't run out of retries. So yeah, when Kirin paws the ground, it's a good sign. It means that you are going to have at least 1 or 2 free hits, or a charged hit if you are a greatsword user. So keep an eye out for Kirin just standing there pawing the ground, because it will just stop still. The animation isn't complete, and it will just stand there for a good few seconds. Get away from Kirin a second. Do need to take a hot drink as well if I can. That's so much slower at doing this in Monster Hunter Freedom Unite than you are in Rise. It is incredibly weird. There we go. So you kind of notice that Kirin doesn't really have a weakness phase. So if you are trying to... I don't know if Kirin is capturable. I'll put that in Bear's Broken Brain. But if you are trying to capture Kirin, that can make it kind of tricky. Again, the low health pool, I think, is to do with that. I think Kirin might limp, but because of the small percentage of time where it will limp, you might end up killing it before you notice. But that's pretty much Kirin. The most frustrating part is that you will be bouncing off of it a lot, which is why I would recommend Longsword. You bounce off of it a bit, and then when that spirit gauge is full, you don't bounce off anymore. Your weapon will still lose sharpness at the same rate as if you were bouncing off, but you won't have to deal with the annoying animation, and it makes swinging, combining your combos a lot easier, because you can actually do your combos instead of doing that bounce animation over and over again. But that's Kirin. Not too difficult. I do think Kirin can intimidate when you first run into it, first encounter it, just because of how fast it is and the power, how strong its lightning strikes are. But if you keep track of which one it's doing, if you kind of learn the patterns or learn the kind of tells that Kirin has, it's not too difficult. It's a reasonable fight. Just bring extra healing items just in case you get unlucky or you have kind of a difficult time recognizing those tells, but you really should be fine. If this video helped you, go ahead and subscribe, because I will be doing the rest of the large monsters in Monster Hunter Freedom Unite, so I'm excited to kind of take that journey with you from Kirin all the way through to you can't loss at the end. So we will be doing all of those, so go ahead and, like I said, subscribe or just hit the bell so you know when the next one is coming out. It will be every Sunday at 10 AM Mountain Standard Time. And if this did help, go ahead and, let me know in the comments. Or if you have any ways you want me to improve, please let me know in the comments. I do want to keep making these better as I get along. And like I said before, I'm on Twitch, I have a Discord channel. If you want to join either of those, they'll be in the description. We chat about a lot of different games. We're all very excited for Sunbreak, for Rise. I look forward to seeing you there. I shall see you next time.